Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and I am here today for another edition of Thriving in Uncertainty, the show where we dive into the strategies, we discuss the steps, we talk about everything that you need to know to really grow your business in an uncertain marketplace. And you can grow your business in an uncertain marketplace. So I'm excited because today I have with me a very old friend and colleague, Ryan. I was just trying to remember how the heck we even met, so you're going to need to answer that. It's feel like we've been connected for forever, but he is a business growth strategist, sales expert, and marketing guru. So welcome, Ryan.
Meredith, thank you so much. I was thinking too, and when you're relying on my memory, we're getting bad. But I do remember we met at some kind of advanced disc training course, and you and I just hit it off. And I came in late I think we're in Minneapolis or something. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's right.
So long-term memory, good. Short-term memory, you never know. But that's where we met, and we've had so much in common. So super fun to get to do this today.
Well, great. Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. Kind of give our listeners an overview of what you have been up to, what you're focused on, where your business is right now.
Yeah, so I have two businesses basically to make it easy. I got a media business that includes a couple of magazines and online and digital forums, and then I've got a consulting coaching business. We probably share some overlap, looking at sales, marketing, branding, leadership. And I'm also in my last two courses, thank God, I'm sure people are watching, of my classwork and my doctorate in organizational leadership, then on to my dissertation where I'm going to study small businesses pre-COVID and after COVID that succeeded over 5 years when one of every two failed in the first 5 years. And it's going to be fascinating, as we know, in uncertainty, to see how this looks in the future.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. Are you going to turn that into a book or anything?
Yeah.
Are you thinking down that path?
Absolutely. Yeah. They asked me the other day, because, most of the people do it, they're in a lot of my cohorts in education. And I said, whatever I study, yes, I will commercialize, speak on. And when they say, well, how do you know this much about small business? And I can literally say, I wrote a dissertation, but it'll be very interesting, especially, when you start studying your, show on uncertainty. What a lot of business owners, it's all going to be business owners that, have been around a while. COVID certainly played a part in their story. I mean, there's no doubt, because this study will begin in 2021. So it'll be interesting to see what we find out.
So what are you seeing in the marketplace? How are the businesses that you work with, or just business in general, how do you feel like people are reacting to uncertainty?
Meredith, I'll use my magazines as an example. We're community, family-based, positive news, which, I've been espousing for years. Okay. So we're in Metro Atlanta. You and I are both in the Southeast, I think.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people that I saw ran and hid. I mean, I'm talking about, they didn't put anything out. They just went online, hid out, and I went full throttle ahead. And what I've seen with that is people wanted to see that, hey, we can, like your show, we can get through uncertainty. I don't have all the answers, nor I'm sure you don't either, but I knew you can't espouse all this as positive, we're in this together, and then go run and hide, and
right.
And that side, we've had some amazing clients. Some of them were shut down, and they still were participating in sponsors and advertising, and because they wanted to reciprocate for all our partnership over the years. It was amazing. But all I know to do is push forward. I mean, and create new value propositions for clients that I've done during this time, like what you're doing now.
It's really interesting. About as far from a dissertation as I could possibly be. I just threw a little questionnaire up there. Just asked people, 3 questions. 2 of which were, one of which was, do you see yourself as somebody who runs to the sound of the gunfire and takes action, or do you see yourself? Are you more somebody in the age of uncertainty that tends to sit back and wait and sort of see where the chips fall? And I was really amazed that over 70% of the people are more of a wait and see attitude, that there are so few people that really run into it. So I'm just kind of wondering, how much do you think running into the fire or towards the gunfire, how much does that matter in your ability to not only get through this, but emerge successful?
Well, people have used since early March, you've heard it, Meredith, a million times, pivot, the new normal, whatever. And, just studying human behavior, and you're an expert in that too. You can't go through at least a year of unprecedented times and not change. I mean, people are going to change. And in saying all that, yeah, I've seen a lot of people kind of hanging back, or maybe they say, hey, we'll put something online. And I created a new show called Community Connections at the beginning of it, in addition to my radio show that becomes a podcast. And I saw ways and opportunities. I mean, they weren't always perfect. Some of my shows spawned from a Facebook Live I was doing, and people go, do more of this. It doesn't mean it's not perfect, but it's kind of an entrepreneurial mindset. You either take it to whatever you're facing, or you stand back and take the punches and disappear. And frankly, that's not how I don't think you or I are wired. But yes, I would agree with that statistic. I see a lot of people saying, we're just going to keep doing the same thing, and we can't wait for a vaccine and this to pass. And I don't know that's what I would recommend to anybody, but that's what some people are doing,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's, I don't suffer from perfectionism. I mean, I probably should suffer from it a little bit more than I do. The very first one of these programs I did, I set on screen 20 minutes, just completely dark. I couldn't, and people were asking me, they said, aren't you embarrassed? And I'm like, I probably should be, but I fall on my face so much that it's just part of what I'm doing. So if you are one of those people who worries, who stresses, who wants things to be right when they're done, how do you help people start to move who are stuck in moving forward in an environment like this?
I love the question. And a couple of years ago, I did a speech. I started doing them called How to Get Unstuck, well before the pandemic. And people get in their, rituals. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and they said, their business took a huge hit, and she was back to where she was in the 1990s, doing stuff she hadn't done since then, but had never taken her eye off the ball, rolled up her sleeves and say, how are we going to go reinvent, where we are with this curveball, a massive curveball we've been thrown. So when you're a cautious person, when I brought them on my show, so you and I could, people make fun of us or think we're greater than we are. I don't take it all that seriously. But for the cautious people, when I bring them on something, I'm like, listen, it's going to be painless. It'll be fun. Let's just push a little bit beyond the comfort zone. And most of those people have a great time when they come on a show or do something that's not, comfortable to them. And they say, oh, that was great. You made it so much fun. We want to do it again. And they do get exposure for their business by doing that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's cajoling them into that because it's not naturally comfortable, but it's great exposure. And I want them to get that exposure. And they always enjoy it, most of them, once they do it.
Yeah, you bring up such a great point, because being visible right now is so incredibly important. I talk about this story even when I do virtual keynotes now. But years ago, it was a long time ago now. It's 2004. My husband's dental office was flooded out, and even though I live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, but we had a flood coming off one of the hurricanes, and every day that we were down there trying to clean up our lives, us and all of our neighbors in Biltmore Village. This insurance sales rep would show up every day in a truck, and he would have water and he would have sandwiches. And he just came every single day and would give us water and would give us sandwiches. And sure enough, cut to the chase, when all the tragedy and everything was over and we'd all rebuild our lives or put the sticks back together again, we all slowly started to move our relationship to him, and strictly because he showed up. Now, he wasn't trying to sell us, he wasn't trying to push anything, but he didn't put his head in the sand and say, look, I sell insurance, I don't want to bother people. He showed up in a way that was adding value. So what are some things that people can be doing right now to remain visible, to start to rebuild their businesses? What are 2 or 3 strategies you're telling people to focus on?
I think, anybody with the technology of live, like what we're doing now, they don't have to wait for Fox or USA Today or CNN to say, hey, Meridith, Ryan, come on our show. You can bring your customers, you can bring your guests. You want to make them the stars, right? The people that are supporting your business is not just about telling your story. It's about telling your story and the people that you are, you're in partnership with. I have this idea of a third book that's going to have to wait, but I'm going to say people want to be served, not sold. That guy showed up every day. He didn't need to tell you what he did. People need value. They need convenience. They need stress relief. People are going through emotions that are almost unhinged is the word that comes to mind.
Mhm.
And we want to be that breath of fresh air. We want to be that convenience factor. We need to find ways to, if it's a podcast, I mean, that's simple enough to do. If it's live, if it's a video, if it's a blog, whatever we can do that we're comfortable with, to be that breath of fresh air and stay out there and not talk about what we do, but how we can help our clients and our communities and our, colleagues and so forth.
Well, that's just great. I see some people checking in with us, and if you have questions for Ryan, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll get you in here on this broadcast. I was doing a podcast the other day, and somebody said, they asked me the question, what's your mission? What do you care about? And the biggest thing I care about right now is to really help people see that there is opportunity right now. Just the way that you're writing your dissertation, that, there are going to be businesses that truly come out and transform and do really well, and businesses that don't. What are the things that you think separate the two?
I think there's, in the academic world, they're like, Ryan, you can't be biased going into it. But I can tell you there's certain things, any of us have been in business a certain amount of time have to have a grit. We have to have perseverance. We have to have a passion, love in what we do. We have to love to do the right thing, right? Not just because, hey, that could lead to a speech, virtual or on ground. You're just doing what's right. And like you said, Meridith, I think we said in the beginning is I think of it, you as a very authentic, transparent, genuine person. What you see is what you get. That's wonderful. Nobody wants to see some fake robotic. That's not human. And I was doing a lot of speaking before all this began on human to human. We're going to need more human to human catch-up time than ever, right? And I think people are going to come out with a vengeance of missing the things they took for granted so much. And I think it's so much opportunities. I mean, I'm sure you were talking about, you're doing the show on uncertainty. Our speech topics are going to drastically change because the world's changed. But that doesn't mean there's not opportunity. There's huge opportunity. But, I say you can't duck and hide. You've got to get out there. You've got to, even if it's not comfortable, get your best people in front of things and provide value. It's not about like, hey, look at us, come to our dentist office. It's about how can you serve, not sell. And if you do that, you'll be standing strong on the other side versus hiding out, waiting for some kind of a rabbit or out of a hat or waiting for the vaccine. That's not the smart play, long term.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I get asked so often. People say, how do I get started? I really don't know what to do. And if you really do just have conversations with your customers and listen, that they'll tell you what to do. I mean, because the moment that you start to talk to somebody, it's kind of human nature to think, how could I help? How could I solve that problem? I mean, I believe that we have an innate desire to help other people. And if you just listen, I don't think you have to know exactly what to do, because if you just reach out and talk to people, the path will really, reveal itself. So from the businesses that you're working with, what are some of the things that the businesses are doing to be able to sell and actually start to think about profit and literally grow their businesses?
I mean, if I think through the different spheres of what I do, I just see people that have really just put their head down and kind of realize all the value in the, what you were saying before, I think reciprocity, that they've got, people want to help them because they've served in the community. And the people I see thriving are the people that have built capital for their brand for many, many years by doing, paying it forward, if you will. Mm-hmm. And now, people are going, hey, we want to support that restaurant. Hey, they might not be open yet. Let's, and I'm seeing whether it's nonprofits or stuff, people stepping up. And if their business is thriving, they're saying, we almost feel guilty. Our business is thriving and these people are getting laid off. And so they're giving back even more. And I don't know about you, Meredith, I see some wonderful things happening with our fellow man helping each other. Doesn't get covered on the news, but I see people stepping up all the time. And it's not because they have to, it's because they want to. I think most of us want to help our fellow man, right?
Yeah, we have a Joy Rider gym here. It's one of those spinning gyms, and they announced right at the beginning of all of this that they were going to shut their doors because they didn't know when they could reopen, what it would look like, and everybody and their brother was buying a Peloton. But just a couple of days ago, I got an email from them, and they said that the community support was so overwhelming and so supportive that they're going to stay in there and they're going to keep going, and they're offering those classes again. And I think that very much is, which leads to a really good point. I mean, if you are in those industries that have been severely impacted, you do need to ask for help. The thing is that your customers love you. They've been there with you. They want to see you succeed. I mean, nothing is more tragic to me than the way we're losing our local restaurants here in Asheville, North Carolina. I mean, Asheville is such a major foodie town.
Oh, I love it. Love that.
So yeah, so I'm doing my part by ordering to go, quite a bit, but really doing and thinking about the things that you can do to support. Where does mindset feed into all of this, and what are some things that you can do to strengthen your mindset?
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, and I was writing my magazine column because I have 2 different monthlies. I was writing, and I said, what are we doing during this time, physically, socially, spiritually, mentally? And I've tried to take this and say, okay, how can I reconnect with people I haven't talked to, or how can I, go walk and get fresh air more, or how can I, grow deeper in my faith and realize what really matters in life, or how can I redevelop my business? So I have a lot of people I know that have kind of looked at this as some long vacation, to a little bit, and they look at me like, why are you always thinking of these things? Because this has been it's horrible, but it also has given us a chance to slow down, to take inventory of everything, and realize, man, the little things of going to a ball game, or the restaurants when they were closed. Man, I miss that bad. I miss giving somebody, walking up and going, Meridith, I'm going to give you a hug, or is it a handshake, or is it a fist bump, or is it an elbow bump? It's just not normal for humans. And I think, I think we long and we will come back. I really do believe with a vengeance, everything, because, that's why America is. And it seems, if you look on paper, we're completely divided, but most people, the whole idea is find common ground. I always say unite, not untie. Find common ground. Smile to somebody, even if you're in your mask. Say, I'm smiling behind this mask. Encourage people, inspire people, say a kind word. People need it, man. I need it. You need it. We all need it. And we could be on this show right now, but we could be having a terrible day. And that's what people at the stores or whatever. And I had one guy, I'll say that to your point. He said, if you can afford it, give that person that's bringing stuff an extra tip. Give them a bigger tip, right? Pay it forward, pay it for their coffee, whatever, to get that positivity going. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I do think it's and have a little bit of compassion and understanding of a lot of the restaurants that I've eaten in. I mean, the service is slow, orders have gotten mixed up. But if you take a moment and you talk to the staff, the rules and the regulation changes that they are dealing with on a daily basis are unbelievable. The very fact that they can ever get a hamburger out the door is amazing in and of itself. So just really do have that compassion. So what from this do you think will stick? What will be changed for us long term? What trends do we need to be paying attention to?
I think, let's start with something as simple as, before, when we'd order carry out, they're standing there waiting for you to come grab your bag at the door. Now it's left at your door, right? Except for a pizza place I ordered from, the guy doesn't understand contactless. It's twice in a month. And I'm like, why are you, I've already paid for it. Why are you standing there? So even me now, I've adjusted going, and he's just staring at me. And I'm like, so even that, I've already gotten used to, if I order that, someone leaving it right there and I have a Ring camera and I'll go pick it up, right? I think you're going to have a lot of people, they're not going to write it. They may think more carefully on an airplane or in parks or whatever, how close they get on top of people, or maybe it'll be for a positive thing, helping flu and stuff to die down in the future, where they're mindful of germs and washing their hands and these kind of things. There's countless things I've had in my mind to think of, Meridith, but, I think you're just going to have humans as a whole. We're relational beings. But you go through this, there's going to be people very cautious for a while. And, I can't think of them all, but I definitely see there's, that one comes to mind, the contactless type stuff. There's another one I thought of the other day, might come back to me. But, even like cars, all these car companies have pivoted to where not just Carvana or Car Gurus, that you can say, hey, I like this car virtually, and they'll bring it to your driveway. That might change how car buying is done completely. That's just some examples. Airplanes, are they going to go back to how they were when 20 years ago, where they're not like trying to charge you late fees? Or are they going to go back to saying, look, we're going to give you flexibility at the end? I think some stuff like that's going to change forever.
Yeah, I think, I was amazed. My husband ordered a pair of golf shoes the other day off of Amazon. They were the wrong size. And literally he, got the little thing that you have to get to send it back, and he ordered the next size. And honestly, in 24 hours, those new shoes were there. And the convenience of sitting in your house and being able to do the things that we can do. And I think that is going to be, you're going to need to do some type of hybrid approach to it, because at the end of the day, I still think people miss interacting, having conversation, or when people have a problem, they want to, it frustrates me. I can't talk to anybody at Amazon if something goes wrong. So, right. So you still want to be able to interact, but being able to recognize that it's not an either or an or world, but it is that strong combination. And don't deny the fact. I mean, we can all say the things that we want to say, but at the end of the day, if I can order a pair of shoes and have them here in 24 hours and I still get to go play golf in the afternoon rather than go shop for those shoes, we just are going to do that.
I thought I was going to say, you said that, I think one thing too might happen for some board meetings and boards you sit on, or school council meetings. Instead of saying, hey, Ryan, it's too bad you can't make it on Tuesday night, you have a commitment. We'll now have this technology in our back pocket of Zoom. We say, okay, we're going to do every other meeting, one in attendance and one online. I think that'll become more a norm too for meetings, because we sometimes had meetings just for the sake of meetings. And maybe more conferences will offer some hybrid options in person and that. So that, I meant to say that earlier, but I think we've gotten comfortable with this. We miss the human connection, but it gives us an option where we're not scared if we can't physically be there.
Yeah, I agree. So hard to believe, but we are coming to the end of the show. What's your biggest piece of advice or input from anybody out there trying to grow a business, brand a business, market a business, take their business to the next level, and just emerge successful in the middle of this? What's one thought you want to leave them with?
Believe in yourself. Believe you're going to fail. Believe you're going to get punched. You got to get back up. I say there's an old Rocky thing. It said, one punch at a time, one round at a time, one step at a time, and that's it. Anybody. There's no magic trick. There's no shortcut. There's no guide online that's going to tell you what to do. But if you treat people the right way, if you're determined in what you do, if you think about who your customers and how you can wow them and be excellent and help them, the money is going to follow. In other words, a lot of people go into what can I make the most money, and that's the wrong mindset. It's about how can you help and serve and fill a niche. And if you do that, even during this time, I'm seeing some companies evolve out of nothing, and I'm seeing some companies just crush it. It's great to see. So believe in yourself and don't expect to get it all right, and expect, like you said, to dust yourself off frequently and get back up, right? One more round. That's what I would tell people, because it's a grind, but if you love it enough, you'll enjoy each step.
Yeah, I've often said that success is really just about your stamina to get back up. If you can do it enough times, eventually you will emerge through. Well, Ryan, how do people find you? How do they get a hold of you? How do they find out more about you?
Yeah, so two things. If you're local, my main website's Ryan Sauers, so RyanSauers.com. It's got my Twitter handles of Ryan Sauers, LinkedIn, I think it's Ryan Sauers, YouTube, Ryan T. Sauers. So either Ryan Sauers, Sauers, or Ryan T. Sauers, you'll find all my social media. And then locally, I have endresultswithaz.com and ourtowngwinnett.com. We have 2 monthly magazines housed under that. So, we do a lot in the Metro Atlanta with that, but, trying to help people. So, I had a guest on one of my shows. I like what she said. She says, I'm very Googleable. So I said, I got to remember that. So, but yeah, if there's anything I've said that people want to say, hey, I'd like to know more about it, I'm more than happy to, give people my thoughts on something if it can help them.
Well, I would encourage people to do that. Reach out to Ryan at ryansauers.com. You can find out more. He's got a lot of great information out there, and you should check out those magazines. But here we are on another Friday afternoon, time to wrap up another program. Don't forget to connect with me at my website, valuespeaker.com, just the words valuespeaker.com, and take a moment to take the Thrive Indicator quiz there. Find where you fall on the Thrive Indicator scale. And we'll see you next week with another program and another set of tips to help you thrive in an uncertain marketplace. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Meridith.